So, I mean, that's maybe an interesting point to talk about. We talked a lot about success and how do you get things right. Um, so maybe let's look on the flip side to that. What are the common things, common mistakes that you've seen teams make then when trying to create in transformational innovation?
So I think some of the common mistakes are not learning. It's going to sound a bizarre one. It's the fact that not stopping and learning from the mistakes. So
Mm.
often I think people who are closest to any kind of delivery or change know intrinsically what is working and what isn't working. But for whatever reason, sometimes just don't want to say. And there could be multiple reasons. And they keep plowing on until it's too late. So I think that's the one thing is listen to your instincts, listen to the data, and look at what the progress is. Um, I think the other kind of thing is, leaderships of, if I think about my previous roles and how I personally had to go through a leadership change in terms of my own development. When I was brought up, when you deliver a project, had a rag status, and on you go.
Mm.
But then when I manage a much bigger portfolio, and we did some trend analysis and said, why is it that in the last 2 weeks of the projects going live, they've been green for months and years, and 2 weeks before they suddenly turn red? There is no way no one knew that that wasn't going to happen. So why was it that people weren't saying? And one of the factors we realized is, you know, people don't like red. And especially when senior people see red, you get a reaction. And this is historical. In past, I've seen this and I heard this from colleagues in different organizations. But as soon as you change how you react to somebody who's giving you bad news, guess what? People are going to give you bad news much sooner. And then you have the ability together to try and solve for that.
So, how do you create the culture for that, though? I mean, that's
It's hard. It's
yeah,
super hard.
yeah, right.
It's,
It's not.
it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
really, really hard because one, you're asking people to be very different to what they've normally done.
Mm.
Both the colleagues who have that news they want to share, but also leadership community at large. Um, you having to ask how you're going to react and change. And it's natural that we will all revert back to our comfort zones. And people even now will say, "I want a project plan." I'm like, "Okay, I can give you a project plan." And that's so. I think it's really hard, and I think it's only over time and repetitively doing this that it will happen. And feedback, I think feedback's super important. And
Mm.
we within Swiss Re, we have a very strong feedback culture, which I think is fantastic. And even on my email, I have a button at the top that says at any point in time I can click on it and give someone feedback, and they have a portal in which it all gets collated. And I get feedback. And I think,
That's really cool.
on the spot feedback is super important
And
because
is that good or bad stuff? I mean, are you getting like
both.
both? Brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, both. And I think, having that, and it's bizarre, isn't it? It's how the tool enables
Mm.
the culture. So we've always had a feedback to culture, but now we've made it easier. This is a classic example of how technology has helped because then I have a central repository of all the feedback I've had through the year. It's on the spot. It's not, 3 months after the event where I can do nothing about it, or I've forgotten, or there's someone can't be very precise on what they're saying.